What is up, guys? So some more updates about Arrow Season 7 has been revealed. So first of all, the synopsis was released for Comic-Con 2018, as well as the first episode title, which is actually titled Inmate 4587. So for this video, I'm going to go breaking down what that title means, as well as the synopsis and everything it talks about. So let's get into the video. So like I said, the title of episode 1 of season 7 is Inmate number 4587. That was revealed, I think, yesterday on the 26th of June, and this is obviously referring to Oliver Queen, who is probably going to be inmate number 4587. It's not, I want to say very possible, but it is slightly possible that it might be talking about somebody else, maybe like somebody Oliver fights in jail, maybe somebody who we've never met before, maybe even the main villain of the season. That's very possible, but at the same time, it's almost definitely going to be actually Oliver Queen, who is inmate number 4587. So far, we don't really know much about the first episode, other than it's probably going to have a 5-month gap between the season finale of season 6 and episode 1 of season 7, like every other season so far. I'm pretty sure every other season of the Arrowverse has a 5-month gap between the two, except for maybe Legends of Tomorrow, because like there's time travel, they don't have to deal with time in general in terms of like a time gap. But for Arrow, I think every season is a 5-month gap, and other than that, we know that he's going to be in jail, and he might get out in that episode. I really hope he doesn't. I hope he's in jail for like 5 episodes maybe, because I want it to have an actual impact on the season. We know he's not going to be in jail for more than 7 episodes because he has to be in the episode 8 crossover. Maybe they're going to, because of that storyline, they might postpone the crossover, which I think is a good idea. They should make it episode 10, just because in episode 8, it really bothers the season-long storyline of every season. Episode 10 would work better, but usually it's episode 8 of every season so far, which means he's going to be in jail for at most 7 episodes, but I think that might be a little bit too many episodes, just because I wouldn't want to see Oliver Queen not in the Green Arrow suit for that many episodes, but I think 5 episodes would probably work really well. So for this episode, he's probably not going to get out of jail. I don't know, usually the resolutions to cliffhangers in the Arrowverse aren't very good, especially the resolution to the good ones, and this was a pretty good cliffhanger, him being in jail, so who knows, it might end terribly with him leaving in the first episode, but my hope is that he's in jail for around 4 or 5 episodes. I think that would work really well. So the title of the episode, like I said, is Inmate number 4587 or 4587, and that's pretty similar to a title of the episode from season 6, episode 21, which was docket number 11/19/4173, and I would have expected them to do something similar with this, because that episode, the numbers they represented, first there was 11, which was November, 19 was the 19th of November, 41 was the year 1941, and then 73 was the issue 73 of All Fun Comics, which is actually the first issue Green Arrow and also Speedy ever appeared in a comic. It was their debut comic, as well as Aquaman, but that represented that. So I would have expected them to do something similar here with the title 4587, like the date is April 5th, 1987, which is actually coincidentally is very close to the date of a comic book called Green Arrow: The Longbow Hunters release, which is coincidental because the main villains of this season are actually the Longbow Hunters. So, but this does not represent that comic book. This has nothing to do with that comic book. It's just a number Mark Guggenheim got from a TV show he loves. He tweeted back all the way back in 2016 when the Star City 2046 episode of Legend of Tomorrow came out, because in that episode Oliver said that those numbers as like a code to the Arrow Cave. I'm pretty sure, maybe not Oliver, maybe Connor Hawk. I don't really remember, but those numbers were used as a code. They were also used as a code for like Cord Industries back in Arrow season 4. So this number has been used over and over again in Mark Guggenheim's TV shows, and he's not really a writer, and he's not a showrunner anymore on the show anymore. He used to be back in the first 6 seasons, but now Beth Schwartz replaced him. But I guess he still has some influence on the title, because 4587 actually comes from a TV show he loves named Wise Guy, where a character named Vince Terranova's ID code, which I don't really know what that means, is 4587. And for some reason, Mark Guggenheim has put that in a couple of his shows, so I guess that's what this represents. So really, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a reference to another TV show, and that's it. So that was the title of episode 1. So now I'm going to go over the synopsis. Now the synopsis, I think for like half of it, is just rehashing what happened at the end of season 6, which is like a lot of synopses. They say how season 6 ended and how that will affect season 7. This synopsis doesn't really give much away, but I will still read it and talk about what I can. So the synopsis reads: There has been no shortage of close calls for Oliver Queen when it comes to protecting his superhero identity, but in the Season 6 finale, he was finally backed into a corner and forced to reveal himself to the world as the Green Arrow. Now, Oliver will come face to face with many of his criminals he placed behind bars as he makes a new home for himself at Slabside Maximum Security Prison. Oliver will find himself vulnerable in a way unlike ever before when a mysterious new enemy begins to unravel his work as Green Arrow, challenging him to redeem his name or risk losing everything. So, like I said, the first half of the synopsis is just rehashing what happened at the end of Season 6, where he reveals himself to the world as the Green Arrow and now is behind bars at Slabside Maximum Security Prison. But something this does give away, and something that I actually expected and I was excited for, was Oliver coming to face with criminals he placed behind bars. It's similar to how in Season 3 when Arsenal was in jail, or Roy Harper was in jail, and everyone thought he was the Arrow, so he got beat up and stabbed in jail, but he had to fight back. That's something I'm actually excited to see in this episode, or in this season, at the beginning of the season, where Oliver comes face to face with criminals who put behind bars, like, for instance, Danny Brickwell from Season 3, and Vertigo from Season 3, and other villains that he didn't kill, but just put behind bars that could return for a couple episodes for this short storyline of him being in jail. So that's something I'm actually excited for. This whole storyline is actually very similar to a canceled movie from, I think, 2007 called Green Arrow Supermax. You can look up a video called the canceled Green Arrow movie. It explains what this movie was going to be, but this movie was basically Oliver was put in jail, I think, as the Green Arrow, which I don't really know how that would work, but maybe it was Oliver, like, later in his career when he was already outed as the Green Arrow, similar to right here in Arrow Season 6 and 7, so maybe something like that. But Arrow, or Oliver, was put into jail where a lot of his old villains were there, and he had to fight those villains as well as team up with them and break out of prison, and I think that's how it went down. So I think it's pretty cool how they're kind of adapting that canceled movie into this couple episodes storyline. If it is a couple episodes, I think it's pretty cool how they're adapting that, and maybe it's going to be similar where he's going to team up with the villains at the end to break out. I don't really know how Oliver will get out of prison in this. He'll either break out or be exonerated, I don't really know. But I think it's pretty cool how they are adapting this storyline that was canceled all the way back in 2007 for the canceled Green Arrow movie. So the synopsis ends saying that Oliver has a new mysterious enemy that he's going up against, and the enemy is unraveling his work as the Green Arrow and challenging Oliver to redeem his name or risk losing everything. So this enemy, we don't really know who it is, but I'm going to speculate that it's probably the leader of the Longbow Hunters. I'm not saying the Longbow Hunters just because he says the synopsis says enemy and not enemies, so it's only one person, but it's probably the leader of the Longbow Hunters who might be in jail. Maybe even Oliver put him there like off screen in the past and now he's getting revenge, which might be a little too similar. They've already done 2 seasons where the main villain was taking revenge on Oliver, Season 2 and Season 5, which, I mean, those are 2 of the better seasons, so who knows, maybe it might happen again, but and work again. But as for who this enemy is, I'm going to say it's probably, I wouldn't say probably, but I think my first guess would be Sportsmaster, who I mentioned in a previous video, who I think should be the leader of the Longbow Hunters. I think that would work really, really well, Sportsmaster, and as well as Cheshire, and a couple other characters I mentioned in that video. We should go watch it. But as for this enemy, Sportsmaster was my first guess. My second guess would probably be Richard Dragon. And I don't mean Ricardo Diaz. I mean Richard Dragon, who I think is the father of Ricardo Diaz in the comics. I'm really sure about that. But Ricardo Diaz is actually the second Richard Dragon. The first Richard Dragon, who is also named Richard Dragon, was from before the New 52. So maybe they're using that character also. And maybe he's Ricardo Diaz's father, or maybe like a long lost brother or something and name something else. I'm not really sure, but again, my first guess would almost definitely be a Sportsmaster, but either way, it could be anyone else. It could be an original character. It could be a character from the past that used to be a recurring character, but now is going to be a main character as like a villain that Oliver put away. I really doubt that, but again, my first guess would be Sportsmaster, and beyond that, I don't really know. So that is basically all we know about this season. First of all, the episode is titled Inmate 4587, which I didn't really give my opinion on that actual title. I think it's an okay title. I think they could have done a little better. They could have done a more interesting title. I think the title for Season 6's premiere was a lot better until the episode came out, and that episode really disappointed in my opinion, so maybe this episode will be the opposite. I don't really know. Again, I think this title is fine. It's just not great or anything. I don't have a problem with it either, and we know that Oliver will come face to face with his criminals, which I bet he's only going to fight the criminals that they can find the actor for to get the actor back. But either way, let me know what you think about the synopsis and the episode title in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.